Hello there, and thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of your Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. Over the past 6 weeks or so, we've had a few hundred members join up to be part of our community at Wheel and Anchor. This is exciting news for us as a team because obviously the more members we have, the more varied programs that we can offer for the future. And so I think it's a good sign we're all headed in the right direction. But of course, as we add all these new members, there's a whole bunch of questions that come up for people who really aren't familiar with what Wheel and Anchor is all about. And so I wanted to take a moment and address a few of the member questions, particularly the ones that come up from more than one person. So for example, Kathy from Richmond, British Columbia asked, how long is each tour? Is it a month? Is it a week? And I realize if you're just looking at our tours for the first time, it may seem a bit confusing. We have basically three categories of tours. We have, first of all, our live-away programs, which are designed to be a month in duration, sometimes 2 times 2 weeks, or longer, because of course a lot of our people will combine one live-away with another. And the idea here is that these programs have a more relaxed pace. It's a chance to get away in winter or early spring to a place that has a mild climate, lots of free time to go at your own pace, but then curated set of activities and excursions for you to be able to enjoy and learn about the local culture and the local traditions and so on of the places we're visiting. We then have our sojourn style of programs. These tend to be a week or so in duration, often linked together. For example, our France Kaleidoscope program that happens in October, we're going to 4 different spots from north to southern France, or our Iberian program in Portugal, which is going from the Porto in the Douro Valley and taking in the Azores and also the Algarve that again are in succession. So those programs are a more relaxed pace than your average sort of average tour program, but at the same time not quite as busy as our experiential type programs. And that's our final category. These are more like traditional type tours in the sense that, we cover more ground over a period of time. We try to show you the highlights, the things that are special about these different places. And we always still try to allow for a few extra nights than you'll find on most tours that are out in the marketplace, because we know how much our members appreciate free time. So long answer to a short question, but I hope that answers, Kathy, your question and anybody else that's wondering about the different types of programs that we have in the duration. Peg from Flin Flon in Manitoba asked if our excursions have knowledgeable guides that can educate the travelers. Again, a great question. We, as much as possible, try to source and handpick our own guides. And for me, it's one of those things I'm very sticky about, because for a guide needs to have not just the information, be able to deliver facts and figures, but they need to be able to share it in the way of stories and recount their own experience. And I can think of some great guides we've had in the past in Helsinki, for example, in Japan, all the places we have, we tend to have people who really care about you getting the experience that you're looking for, but also learning about the destination. And for our programs in tropical destinations like Costa Rica, for example, or on safari in Africa, we are using naturalists and trackers and people who are really familiar with the flora and fauna of the destination we're going into. So we definitely have some great guides on our roster. Meredith from Hudson in Quebec asked, what age groups do we typically attract, and what degree of fitness is required for our trips? So our members are generally between sort of 55 and up. So 55 to 70. We have members that are older than that, for sure. We have a handful of members that are younger than that. We try not to be ageist. For us, we want to create experiences that travelers in general can enjoy. And so it's really, and it varies a little bit from program to program, whether we get a bit of an older clientele or whether we get a younger clientele. But again, the average age is sort of from 55 to 70. And as far as fitness is concerned, generally speaking, our benchmark for the minimum level of of fitness is you need to be able to walk at least a kilometer at one time, sort of without sitting down, without relying on another person for assistance or any mobility aids. That if you can manage that, then you can manage most of our trips that are indicated as moderately strenuous. We do have some trips where there are more active aspects to them. But that's pretty much indicated in the itinerary, and often there'll be an alternative for you to do if you don't want to sort of climb a mountain, as it were. Wayne from West Vancouver asked if we have departures from Vancouver or if all the travelers meet up at the destination. It's a good question, Wayne. Our members are from all across Canada. And so our programs are designed to basically start at the airport of arrival. So our programs, in most cases, have private transfers. So you're met at the airport, brought to the hotel of the first destination. It just enables a lot more flexibility, because we know that if you're traveling from Western Canada or Eastern Canada, getting to destinations could be vastly different routings with different arrival times. And so we find it's best for our members, rather than having everybody having to channel through someplace like Toronto Pearson Airport, nobody's favorite airport necessarily, then we do it so that you can fly on the routing that suits you best, and we start the program in destination. Sue from Belmont, also in Quebec, asked if there's personal time when on our group tours. And so this goes to what I was saying earlier. We try to put in more free time than you'll find on your average trip. And again, when I look around at other itineraries that are offered out there, it's designed to sort of pack in as much as possible. But our philosophy is that it's actually by slowing down and exploring on your own and having a free day here or a free day there, or at the very least a half day, so that you can explore at your own pace. That's when the magic of travel happens. So yes, we definitely have free time. We pride ourselves on putting extra into our programs. That's why they're sometimes a few days longer than you might find with other companies to different destinations, because again, we value that. And you know that a lot of places you'll only go to once in your lifetime, and you want to have that special experience. Numerous members asked about our single supplement policy. This is a painful one. I know it is. I mean, God knows, myself included, we all hate having to pay extra just because we're traveling alone and want to have our own room. And as I've said before in other blogs, it boils down to the mathematics. I am going to create another blog on this topic in terms of why single supplements are charged. Again, I despise them. I really do. But they are a function of mathematics. Our best antidote to that is our Companions for the Road program, which we are going to revamp in the not too distant future. And this is an opportunity for you to meet up with a fellow traveler who might want to go to the same place and who you decide you would be compatible with. And that, of course, allows you to go at, the regular price, as it will, a double occupancy, which is the standard price for us on all our trips, as with pretty much anybody in the industry. And finally, Geraldine from Dollars des Ormeaux in Quebec was wondering why airfare is not included and if it can be booked as a group. Similar to my comment to Wayne earlier, we chose a couple of years ago not to put airfare into our programs for a couple of different reasons. First of all, the airlines aren't really favorable on group terms. You would think if you came with a group of 10 or 15 people that they would give you a great deal. Not the case. In fact, often group airfares, and I've been doing this for the better part of 30 years, often group airfares are more than what you can find by going online to booking.com or one of the online booking engines. So that's problem number one. Secondly, a group airfare requires that you have one common point of departure. So again, in the case of Canada, it pretty much means you have to funnel everybody through Toronto. And for those of you particularly on the West Coast, and we have a lot of members out in BC and Alberta, as well as the rest of Canada, I know that most people really loathe having to fly to Toronto to join a group to then continue on to Europe. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so there are a multitude of other reasons. Air Canada doesn't allow groups to choose their seats, for example, or if they do, they stick you all in the middle section of the aircraft. there are no good reasons to book group airfare for the most part. There are exceptions to every rule, and to the extent that there is a better deal or better terms, a good reason for us to book a group airfare, we would certainly consider that. But we find our members prefer to let us know how, when, which routing that they want to take, and we'll coordinate airfare that way, and then you get what you want, and you can travel that way. So that's the benefit there. I think I've covered most of the questions for this week, but of course, if you do have questions, and I know if you're a new member, you've put a question in the new member questionnaire, we're going to do our best to get back to you, make sure your questions are answered. Please allow us some time. As I say, we've had hundreds of members join up with us recently, and so our team is quite strapped in getting back to everybody, but we will, I promise. And of course, you're welcome to email us directly a question at any time, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Looking forward this week to our upcoming webinar about the Azores. This was a very popular program last year, so it's happening again in the end of April of 2023. The webinar this coming Thursday. And following that, our newest Sojourn program, which is the Algarve, the beautiful southern coast of Portugal. That'll be the week following on the 21st of September. So join me for that. Again, thank you for being part of Wheel and Anchor. Look forward to catching up with you in our newsletter next week.